Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today we are going to be talking the WrestleMania 42 debacle. Because this whole entire thing has become a giant mess. We went from The Rock going on TV on SmackDown, showing up the last second. Because remember, when The Rock announced he was going to come back to SmackDown back in February, there was a lot of reports that, hey, they had to rewrite some stuff. And The Rock came back. He announced WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. Now, mind you, this SmackDown was in New Orleans. And I like the idea of WWE being in a city, be it New Orleans, Atlanta, wherever, and going, hey, you got sending The Rock out there, maybe Triple H, going out there and saying, hey, this city tonight is getting WrestleMania next year. That's cool. That's cool. Telling the crowd that they're getting WrestleMania in their city, that is great. That's a great idea. But pulling WrestleMania from that city just randomly out of the blue, like an RKO, it seems a little bit strange. Now, we did not hear any rumors or reports that WrestleMania may not be happening in New Orleans. Usually when there's reports like this, it's usually we're hearing reports or rumors for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ahead of time before these rumors are either confirmed or denied. But we didn't hear nothing. It just came out of the blue. And then the next day, Triple H announced that New Orleans was getting Money in the Bank in August of next year, which does beg the question about the Money in the Bank contract, because the Money in the Bank contract is usually a 1 year to cash in. Now, usually that does mean from 1 year, the Money in the Bank PLE to the next Money in the Bank PLE. But if you go by that, then that means whoever wins in 2 weeks is going to have more than a year to cash in. Or is it going to be from June 7th, 2025 to June 7th, 2026 that they have to cash in? Because does it go by dates or is it by the PLE? But yeah, I mean, they pulled WrestleMania from New Orleans, and it was like, here's Money in the Bank. Now, look, I'm happy for New Orleans that they did at least are getting something out of this. They are still going to get a future WrestleMania, but I mean, giving them money, I mean, look, I get it. Money in the Bank is a big show. It's a part of their big storylines because of the briefcase and what it means. Meaning you can cash in at any time for the next year. So, yeah, I get it. It's a big PLE. It plays into their storylines for a whole year, depending on when they want to do the cash-ins. But it's also one of those weird things where you're taking WrestleMania, which is, it's not Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is you go to a place for a weekend, then you leave, and that's it. WrestleMania is usually like an entire vacation. Fans build vacations around WrestleMania. SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, like the big shows, like Money in the Bank is literally fans showing up to New Orleans for the weekend, and then that's it. They go home. The city, wherever they're in, benefits a lot more from like a WrestleMania because fans are in town longer than just a weekend. And so, like, again, like if you're taking WrestleMania away, at least give them like SummerSlam, which I know SummerSlam is booked up over these next couple of years. It's in MetLife Stadium this year, Minnesota next year, which I'll get into in a minute here because let's be honest here, with this little stunt that TKO is pulling, who knows if Minnesota is even going to have SummerSlam next year. But you could have at least said, hey, you know what? We'll give you WrestleMania in 2027. Or we'll give you SummerSlam 2027 and then WrestleMania 2028 or 2029 or whatever. Like, it's one of those things where, again, people have already started booking hotels, booking flights. Like, I think as soon as they could start booking, I think fans were already looking at hotels and flights. I saw on Reddit that people had already booked hotels. They already booked flights, and now they have to rebook. They gotta cancel. They gotta, go through all that whole process, which is insane because, like, you've already announced this on TV. And that's what makes this so worse is, when you look back last year, right? It was Minnesota. It was rumored that this year's WrestleMania was going to be in Minnesota, but it was rumored. Nothing was officially announced until it was officially announced that it was in Las Vegas. And then Minnesota got SummerSlam next year as a consolation prize for losing WrestleMania this year. And just everything about that segment, pyro, logo, graphics, The Rock announcing this on TV. The Rock, a member of the TKO board, by the way, announcing that WrestleMania is coming to New Orleans. You would think that this is a set in stone. They're not going to change it. It's done. Fans can start planning out their vacation to New Orleans. I know for me, I was planning on going because, WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans was my very first WrestleMania in person. Me and my friends went down to New Orleans for that WrestleMania, had a great time. And so I was actually kind of looking forward to going back to New Orleans next year for another WrestleMania and, to see how much has changed since I went to WrestleMania 30 down there in New Orleans. And, I too was also in the process of looking up hotels, flights. Now, luckily I didn't book it yet, but it's just kind of crazy that they can just take it from a city like that. Like Minnesota, like literally right now, they literally have SummerSlam for next year. But what if TKO decides, oh, Minnesota, we're going to take SummerSlam from you. We're going to give you Survivor Series in 2027 or whatever instead, and we're going to have SummerSlam 2026 in Las Vegas because apparently TKO WWE wants more events in Las Vegas, which is kind of crazy because, listen, I've been to Vegas a couple times. Ironically, they've all been for wrestling-related reasons. I went to SummerSlam 2021. I was at Double or Nothing 2023. And then WrestleMania this year. And I get it. It's Las Vegas. They they're going to make a lot of money, so they want to go back. I understand that. But part of WrestleMania weekend is, or WrestleMania week, I should say, is being able to explore different cities. And in the case of the fact that we're definitely going to be getting a international WrestleMania, because there are reports too that maybe that it could be an international WrestleMania next year, that fans are going to say go to London, say WrestleMania gets announced for Wembley, and now you have fans coming in who may not have been to London before, and they're going to experience a different culture. You know, and that's a part of what makes WrestleMania is that it's you get to explore these different cities, these different and soon different countries. And so it's not just like, oh, okay, let's go to Vegas. Okay, let's go to Vegas again. Because eventually that you're going to oversaturate the market. And in the short term, yeah, TKO is probably thinking, yeah, we're going to make a lot of money. That's great, but you're going to oversaturate the market if you keep going there on a more frequent basis. Now, there was already a report that said that they were looking to go back in 3 to 5 years, which, okay, cool, I get it. They've repeated WrestleMania locations before. New Orleans had WrestleMania 30, and then like 4 years later, they got WrestleMania 34. Okay, fine. 34, 35. Like if you go a certain amount of years between host cities, that's fine. But there are some cities right now that literally either have not hosted WrestleMania or haven't hosted a WrestleMania in like forever. Like we know Indianapolis is going to get one. They have a deal with Indianapolis for a WrestleMania. Indianapolis just had the Royal Rumble. So we do know in the next couple years, Indianapolis is going to be getting a WrestleMania. And Indianapolis hasn't had a WrestleMania since WrestleMania 8. Now, obviously, due to the fact that in the recent years, Vegas has just more become a sports town with the Raiders. You have the Golden Knights there. And you have the WNBA team there. It's becoming more and more of a sports town. So now you got this big stadium there in Allegiant where they can finally do a WrestleMania. Because, again, Las Vegas hasn't hosted WrestleMania since WrestleMania 9. So, okay, cool, great. This is their second WrestleMania. But back-to-back years, like, there's more cities that are deserving. There are more cities that are deserving of a WrestleMania before Las Vegas gets a third one. Like, I was going to be okay with New Orleans, but, like, I want to see WrestleMania go to different cities that haven't had WrestleMania in a while or has never hosted it. And so, yeah, you're going to create fatigue with WrestleMania if you just keep going back to Vegas. And if you're and I want to close on this here, if you're a city that puts a bid in for WrestleMania, and you're sitting there watching The Rock or Triple H announce that WrestleMania is coming to your city on TV with graphics, pyro, everything about that. It's a big deal. Only for a few months later that they're going to tell you that no, we're taking WrestleMania from you. I can understand from a contract standpoint that if the city, if something happens where the city can't host WrestleMania no more. So take, for an example, the new Nashville Stadium for the Titans. Let's say now we know that's definitely going to get a WrestleMania. That's already been said by the Nashville mayor that when that stadium was going to be built, it was in the press release that WrestleMania would be one of the events coming to Nashville in this new stadium. But if you look at it and you go, let's say Nashville gets announced as 2027, right? And then maybe something happens with the stadium. Maybe there's some delays. Or, maybe there's some delays in the stadium and they can't get it open in time for WrestleMania. So, the city of Nashville can call WWE and say, hey, we're running into some issues. We don't think the stadium's going to be open in time for WrestleMania. So can we push our Mania back another year? I can understand that scenario. I also understand, from a contract standpoint, the WWE or the city could probably have a opt-out clause to where after a certain date, or they have up until a certain date to opt out of the deal or opt out the date for whatever reason. I can understand all that. But if you are a city that wants WrestleMania and you're seeing this, I fully expect WWE to do something like this where, let's say Atlanta or Charlotte gets announced as for WrestleMania, and then, WWE goes, okay, we're going to take it to Las Vegas instead. I can understand it where maybe it's a smaller market that they take it from to move it to a big market like Vegas. But New Orleans, pretty big deal. It's a big tourist city. So to take it from New Orleans to go back to Vegas is pretty weird. But if you're a city bidding on WrestleMania in the future and you're seeing this, do you really want to place a bid on WrestleMania or any event for WWE if TKO can just say a few months later, oh, we're going to take it out in your city now and go somewhere else? Now you're no longer getting this event. Wouldn't you not want to put a bid in if you're a city looking to bring WrestleMania to your city, or SummerSlam, or the Royal Rumble? If they can just pull it just like that for whatever reason, if the WWE is the thing is, there was reports that another city came in and outbid New Orleans. Now, look, it's one thing if WWE was still accepting bids for WrestleMania. Again, I go back to the fact that they announced WrestleMania 42 to be in New Orleans. So were they taking bids behind the back of New Orleans, hoping that they could get out of their deal with New Orleans to go back to Vegas? Were they hoping that maybe London would put in more money to host WrestleMania at Wembley? It's just crazy. They were still taking bids basically even after they announced the dates and the location. Couldn't they just said, okay, Vegas, we'll give you WrestleMania in 2027. Right? Or we'll give you SummerSlam, we'll give you the Royal Rumble. It's crazy. This whole entire thing is crazy. What do you got? Tell me what you guys think. For me, I'm not interested in going to Vegas 2 years in a row for WrestleMania. If they do announce Vegas for WrestleMania, I'm just going to stay here, stay home, and just live stream it for y'all and have my live reactions. But the exciting part about WrestleMania is going to different cities and exploring the different cultures and going back to the same place just doesn't, I don't know, doesn't really, I think that would just make people mad. I think people want to explore different places. They use wrestling as a reason to go to these places. Like, I am one of those people that uses sports, wrestling, as a reason to go to these different cities that I've always wanted to go to. You know, I've always wanted to go to London. I went to AEW All In London last year. I had a great time. So I wouldn't mind if the WWE said, hey, we're going to London next year for WrestleMania. Because I would immediately book my hotel and flight and I'd be going and I'd go. But it's just baffling that they would just pull this just out of nowhere. Tell me below in the comments, what do you guys think of all this? Do you think it was fair what WWE did to New Orleans? Was Money in the Bank the right consolation prize for not having WrestleMania? Do you think they're going to do this to other cities in the future? Comment below. And as always, hit that like and subscribe button as I do produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.